Because my heart tells me stay, but my pride tells me go. But how can I leave you when I love you so? Which way should I turn? I'd sure like to know. My heart tells me stay, but my pride tells me go. I'd be so much better off to drive you from my mind and make you a memory that I'd love to leave behind. I know that these heartaches are what you put me through. So why do I have these doubts about leaving you? Because my heart tells me stay, but my pride tells me go. And how can I leave you when I love you so? Which way should I turn? I'd sure like to know. My heart tells me stay, but my pride tells me go. My heart tells me stay, but my pride tells me go.
Yeah, way to go. That's right. All aboard. Bad for a guy. How about silver-haired daddy of mine?
Oh, that's
there you
good.
go.
That's neat.
Neat.
Get some of that Mexican stuff going.
You all ready there, Jim?
In a vine covered shack in the mountains, early fighting the battle of time, is a dear one weathered by sorrow. Is that silver-haired daddy of mine? If I could call on the heartache, dear old daddy, I know to bear. If I could erase those lines from your face and bring back the gold to your hair, if God would grant me the power just to turn back the pages of time, I'd give all I own if I could atone to that silver-haired daddy of mine. I know it's too late, dear old daddy, to repay for the sorrow you bear. Though dear one is waiting in heaven, just to comfort the soul of
We go? Go? Haggard song.
All right.
Mama's Hungry Eyes.
D. Ready.
A canvas covered cabin in a crowded labor town. Stand down in your memory, eyes around. Cause my daddy raised a family there with two hard-working hands, and trying to feed my mom hungry eyes. He dreamed of something better as my mama's face was strong, and his kids were just too young to realize that another class of people was somewhere just below. For no reason for my one hungry eye. Mama never had the luxury she wanted, and it wasn't 'cause my daddy didn't try. She only wanted things she really needed. All the reason for my mama hungry eyes. I remember Daddy praying for a better way of life, but I don't recall a change on any side. Just a little loss of courage as their age began to show. And the sadness of my mom hungry eyes. Mama never had the luxury she wanted, and it wasn't 'cause my daddy didn't try. She only wanted things she really needed. Unbelievable for my mom hungry eyes. And he gone, my mom hungry eyes.
Okay. I didn't want to get too loud. Okay, Yellow Rose in Texas.
What tea you got there, boy?
In Chief of George. Good golly, Miss Molly. There's a yellow rose in Texas, going there to see. Nobody else could love her, not half as much as me. She cried so when I left her, it nearly broke my heart. And if I ever find her, we never more will part. She's the sweetest little flower this cowboy ever knew. Her eyes are bright as diamonds, they sparkle like they do. You can talk about your winsome face, king of Rosalie, but the yellow rose in Texas beats the bell. How can I see? You want to take a little cowboy? Where the real branches blow and starry skies are bright, she walks along the river in a quiet summer night. She thinks, I remember we parted long Okay, this is Cabin of Death. Now,
In G.
yeah, G, I'm sorry. Now, Mom and Dad, they died up in our cabin. Little sisters and they died too. We'll bury her out behind the cabin. This is a spot beside her for me and you. Oh, everybody's dying in our cabin. We all thought that it was just a fluke. Turns out it was something really different. Now it's even killing me and you. Well, first we called upon the family doctor to see if he could save little Sister Sue. He said he'd never seen anything quite like it. Look out back, he's buried out there too. Oh, everybody's dying in our cabin. We all thought that it was just a fluke. Turns out it was something really different. And now it's even killing me and you. If you should ever go out to our cabin, up along the pine trees in the hills, you'll find a rusty shovel by the graveyard. Dig a hole if you start feeling ill. Oh, everybody's dying in our cabin. We all thought that it was just a fluke. Turns out it was something really different. And now it's even killing me and you.
I guess party's over.
That's what Brian began.
How about Fraulein?
That's a pretty good one.
In A. Let's see, let's wait for
Oh, I'm always ready.
All right. Chuck, you ready over there?
Yeah, we always ready.
Fraulein in A.
Okay, wait, we can catch up.
Far across the deep blue water is a daughter by the bank of the old river Rhine, where I loved her and her, but I can't forget her. I miss my dream.
and gay kisses wrapped in paper means more to you than any of mine. And kisses wrapped in paper you'd rather have them. You don't mean it when you whisper those sweet love words in my ear, and the kisses wrapped in paper made more to you than my I built a castle out of dreams, dear. I thought that you were building one too. Now my castle all have fallen, and I'm left alone. When you whisper those sweet love words in my ear, and the kisses wrapped in paper mean more to you than my mean more to you than my
If I can find it. I got an A on my guitar. In a bar in Toledo, across from the depot, on a bar stool, she took off her ring. I thought I'd get closer. I walked on over, sat down and asked her her name. When the drink finally hit her, she says, I'm no quitter. I finally quit living on dreams. I'm hungry for laughter and whatever's after. I'm after whatever the other life. I closely watched him. I thought how he looked out of place. He walked to the woman who sat there beside him. He had a strange look on his face. He was big as a mountain. His big hands were cows. For a minute I thought I was dead. He started shaking. His big heart was breaking. He turned to the woman and said, you picked a fine time to leave me, Lucille. 4 hungry children and a box in the field. I've had some bad times, I lived through some sad times, and this time her hurt won't heal. You picked the fine time. He finally left. I ordered more whiskey. She said, let's go have a ball. From the lights of that bar room to a rented motel room, we walked without talking at all. She was a beauty, but when she came to me, you must have thought I lost my mind. I couldn't hold her for the words that he told me, kept running back time after time to leave me, Lucy. 400 children and a cross in the field. I've had some bad times, lived through some sad times. This time her hurt won't heal. You picked the fine time to leave me, Lucy. You picked the fine time to leave me, Lucy. Thank you much.
It was in D, wasn't it?
Cross the bridles and Waco. On the old Chisholm Trail it was midnight. Carmela was strung on his mind because of the life he had chosen. Carmela had left him behind. Too long he had been a fine decent. Carmela had left him alone. But today someone brought him a message. He'd been seen in old San Andreas. Cross the bridle side of Waco. Ride hard and I'll make it by dawn. Cross the bridle side of Waco. I'm safe when I reach San Andreas. Cowboy Dave.
Play a song called Leftover Biscuits.
Oh, yeah.
It's key G.
There's none of them around my house.
Okay.
leftover biscuits, leftover ham, leftover gravy in an old frying pan, leftover coffee, leftover tea. Now I'm all alone 'cause she's done left over me. I asked my wife if I could go out with the boys, just a little party over at Jimmy Roy. She said, yes, honey, you know I don't care. But what I didn't tell her, it was a 3-day affair. Leftover biscuits, leftover ham, leftover gravy in an old frying pan, leftover coffee, leftover tea. Now I'm all alone 'cause she's done left over me. Well, then we went to a party over in my neighbor's home. Me and my neighbor's wife were in the kitchen all alone. She was making biscuits and I was making time, hot in the act by that little wife of mine. Oh, leftover biscuits, leftover ham, leftover gravy in an old frying pan, leftover coffee, leftover tea. Now I'm all alone 'cause she's done left over me. Oh, leftover biscuits, leftover ham, leftover gravy in an old frying pan, leftover coffee, leftover tea. Now I'm all alone 'cause she's done left over me. Call out on the other side of town.
Is that practice?
I've got time waiting for him.
I got you. It's over.
Cigarettes, drink your beer. Kennel ranch and dog food keeps your wife complexion clear. Cheap chocolate covers mothballs, keeps you satisfied. Brush your teeth with lipo soap.
In G. You ready? You ready? Go ahead.
Pardon me if I'm sentimental when say goodbye. Be angry, only darling, should I cry? And you're gone, a little dreaming. Now and then, there's a blue sunset. Now and then there's a goodbye. You taught me how, and now you say that you're free. I love you, but I love you. There's a blue sunset. Now and then there's a goodbye. You taught me how, now you say that you're free. I love you, but I love you.
Johnny Rodriguez.
Oh yeah, like that one.
In G.
Like that one. G's All right, good job, Mr. Molly.
Can I start without you?
Yeah. You start right now if you like.
Would you look at what came down the road today? Wanting me to be one more mistake you made. A bridge to burn to get to someone new. Hey, pass me by. You're only matter you sure look like the child mine too. Don't stop if this ain't where you want to be. Now I don't know what you think you'll run into. Hey, pass me by if you're only passing through. Get it on. I know it's gonna be your stepping stone among the other hearts that you walked on. Lord, help me if I fall in love with you. Hey, pass me by if you're only passing through. Pass me by if you're only passing through.
Yeah. All right.
Another one. All right.
Gonna lay down my own.
I don't think.
Gonna lay down, man. So,
Down by the riverside.
yeah, right down by the riverside.
What key you at?
G.
G. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my burden. Down by the riverside. Down by the riverside.
I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. No, no. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Down by the riverside, down by the riverside, gonna lay down my sword and shield, down by the riverside, and study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more, ain't gonna study war no more, I ain't gonna study war no more, no, 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 I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
We're going to do the John B together.
All right, John B's come out.
Start it out there. Go ahead. Go. We went on this trip, John B.
Oh, yes.
My grandfather and me. Down Nassau town, we did roll.
Oh, we did roll.
Stayed awake all night.
Stayed awake all night.
Got into a fight.
Stayed into a Friday.
Oh, I feel so break up. I wanna go home.
I wanna go home.
Oh, that first mate, he got drunk. Broke into the captain's trunk. Sure had to come and take him away. Sheriff John
Oh,
Stone,
Sheriff John Stone.
please leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Oh, I feel so break up. I just wanna go home. I want to lay. So, hoist up the John B. sail. See how the main's so sad. Call for the captain's shore. Let me go home. Let me go home.
Oh, let me go home.
Please let me go home.
Let me go home.
Oh, I feel so break up. I wanna go home one more time. So, hoist up the John B. sail. See how the main's so sad. Call for the captain's shore. Let me go home. Let me go home. Please let me go home. Oh, I feel so break up. I wanna go home. Oh, I feel so break up. I
Wanna go home. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Jack.
Holy moly, let's do a hot one. I know you're married in D. Delta.
DNA.
Yeah, probably a two-footer. But first off, I want to tell everybody we got D and what's his name, Smitty and Tim. They're all cowboys, real live cowboys, real live breeding ones. They ride the horses.
I'm a one
I don't know. I got interrupted. I don't know why they ride the horses. Those cars are a lot smoother. I know you're married in Delta.
It's a thrill.
It's
a thrill.
Oh, that's the thrill.
And we keep doctors in business.
Yeah. All right, I know you're married. You know I love you and I always will. I know you're married, but I love you still. The day I met you, my heart spoke to me. It said to love you ain't burning me. You know I love you and I always
to try the long black veil.
Okay.
What key you doing it in, Roger?
G.
G.
G. Okay. 10 years ago, on a cold night. Whoa, oh, I gotta start over. Wait a minute, I'll start over. 10 years ago, on a cold dark night, someone was killed in the town hall light. There were few at the scene, but they all agreed that the stranger who ran looked a lot like me. The judge said, son, what is your alibi? If you were somewhere else, then you won't have to die. I spoke not a word, although it meant my life, for I had been in the arms of my best friend's wife. She walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave when the night winds wail. Oh, nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. The scaffold was high and eternity near. She stood in the crowd and shed not a tear. But sometimes at night, when the cold wind moans in a long black veil, she cries over my bones. She walks these hills in a long black veil. She visits my grave when the night winds wail. Oh, nobody knows, nobody sees, nobody knows but me. Calm down.
What are you going to do?
How about we're going to do the request for Maggie here. When you and I were young, we used to always call it Maggie anyway.
Yeah.
I want to live in the hills, Maggie. What's the sea road? The creek and the crashing Maggie has too long to go. The
middle tone. In G. That's just G. I love you so much that I can't leave you, even though my mind tells me I should. Then you make me think you really want me, and all my thoughts I believe in do no good. You got me hard over mine, worried all the time, knowing you will always be the same. You keep hurting me, I know, but I just can't let you go, 'cause my heart won't let my love for me change. You're out with others, and in my heart I try not to forget. But you come home and tell me you still love me, and I still hope there's some chance for us yet. You got me hard over mine, worried all the time, knowing you will always be the same. You keep hurting me, I know, but I just can't let you go, 'cause my heart won't let my love for you change. 'Cause my heart won't let my love for you change.
Yeah. All right.
Big chord. Sometimes I feel the weight of the past break in my mind. I know it's gone for good. It makes me want to cry. Is this all we get to keep as the years go strolling by? Just a memory of all the days gone by. Oh, you're always in my heart, and you're often on my mind. Your love will never die, as long as I'm alive. Oh, it seems so sad to me that we never said goodbye. I guess it never hurts to hurt sometimes. You try to hold on to the moment, but time won't let you stay. For every step you take, you lose something along the way. Is this all we get to keep as the years go strolling by? Just a memory of all the days gone by. Oh, you're always in my heart, and you're often on my mind. Your love will never die, as long as I'm alive. Oh, it seems so sad to me that we never said goodbye. I guess it never hurts to hurt sometimes. Oh, I guess it never hurts to hurt sometimes.
Yeah. That's a good.
Thank you.
Okay, D for Delta. Picture in a frame.
can
Go on.
see that there, mister.
I got an order to do this. I finally found words to say. How long did I intend to stay? I know you wondered now and then how close our love is to the end. I think it's only fair to let you know that one of these days I'll have to go. But I'll be proud to wear your ring till I'm just a picture in a frame. Storm clouds may gather and a heavy rain may come, but when the storms are over, we'll still share the sweet golden sun. And I'll still love you just the same, till I'm just a picture in a frame. I hope this small bouquet of words are the sweetest ones you'll ever heard. 'Cause I can't think of anyone I'd rather hold you like this. This love of mine for you will never grow. And I just thought that you would like to know my love will be a burning flame till I'm just a picture in a frame. Yes, I'll still love you just the same, till I'm just a picture in a frame. Woo! I had fun getting old, but dang, I forgot to stay limber.
Welcome to City Council, everybody. We will start with our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. And our invocation tonight will be given by Pastor Adam Stetson from Christ Lutheran Church. And please rise. Thank you. If he's here. Looks like not. Get a volunteer. No volunteers. All right, I will give our invocation. Our dear Father in heaven, we're thankful for this wonderful day and for beautiful spring weather that we're enjoying in Boulder City. And we're thankful for our wonderful, amazing community and for all of the blessings that we enjoy here, the camaraderie we have, the citizen participation, and the diligent, hardworking staff in Boulder City. We pray that Thy Spirit will be with us tonight, that we will have wisdom and good dialogue and understanding, that we will make good decisions and chart a course that will lead to the best interests of our community at large. We're thankful for the freedoms that we enjoy and the good circumstances in which we can assemble and meet together. And we invoke Thy blessings upon us in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, we have in our public announcement portion, we do have some swearings in, I believe, at least one.
There's two swearing-ins, but I would like to just announce under public announcement to remind residents that early voting in City Hall starts tomorrow, Wednesday, May 29th, and extends through Saturday, June 1st. Hours are 7 to 6 on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and 8 to 6 on Saturday. You can early vote at other sites. That information's available on our website. And I would kindly ask when the meeting's adjourned if we could get everybody out in a timely manner so our staff can get the council chambers set up. They'll be here at 5. Thank you. And with that, I will administer the oaths to our new reserve police officer, Jesse Oliver, and our new marshal. If you would each raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Michael Cross,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government of the United States
the Constitution and government of the United States,
and the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada
the Constitution and government of the state of Nevada,
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
whether domestic or foreign,
whether domestic or foreign,
and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty
and will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty
to the same,
to the same,
any ordinance, resolution, or law
any ordinance, resolution, or law
of any state notwithstanding,
of any state notwithstanding,
and that I will perform well and faithfully
and that I will perform well and faithfully
all the duties of marshal and reserve police officer
all other duties of marshal, reserve police officer
of Boulder City, Nevada,
of Boulder City, Nevada,
on which I am about to enter.
on which I'm about to enter,
So help me God,
so help me God,
under the pains and penalties of perjury.
under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Thank you. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Congratulations to both of you, and thank you in advance for your service to our community. We appreciate it.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. I announced Friday it was 7 to 6, but it is early voting's 8 to 6. I apologize.
So 7 to 6, Wednesday, Thursday,
8 to 6, Friday, Saturday.
8 to 6, Friday, Saturday. Okay. Thank you. All right. Next, we have our initial public comment period devoted to agenda items only. In the back, please. Yep.
Hello, Council. My name is Linda Barnett. I'd like to speak on agenda item number 14, appointments to the Utility Committee. Firstly, I would like to thank the Council for voting to bring the Utility Committee forward. Each of you deserves great thanks from us. I ask tonight that the Council, before deciding on the appointments for the Utility Committee, take the time to interview each applicant before making your decisions. It's only fair that if we are asking these applicants to commit to spending untold hours of their time over a period of years providing a voluntary service to the community, that the least the Council can do is to set aside 15 or so minutes per candidate to examine and establish their credentials so that the most qualified individuals are selected. In reviewing the volunteer data sheets filled out by the applicants, it's obvious that a minimum of questions are on this one-page form. Instead of possibly asking about community activities, perhaps it would be more pertinent to ask if there are any conflicts of interest and why the applicant feels qualified to sit on the committee. I also ask each council member tonight to please disclose any conflicts of interest involving any of these candidates, letting us know any business ties or past or present. It may be that a council member will need to disclose and abstain from voting on a particular candidate. Additionally, as a small side note, I question why the volunteer data sheet published online in the agenda packet includes the addresses and phone numbers of each of the candidates. I have yet to see the council or city employees have their personal information made public. I ask that this be addressed in addition to informing applicants that their volunteer data sheets will be made public in the agenda packet. We have a blank slate before us tonight with the formation of the Boulder City Utility Committee. Let's make a proper start by giving thoughtful attention and preparation. Again, I request that the applicants be interviewed before any appointments are made. Thank you.
Thank you. James.
James Howard Adams, talking also on item number 14 regarding the Utility Advisory Committee. I got an email from Judy DeShane this morning. She can't be here because she's enjoying time with her family out of state, but she wanted me to make sure that everybody knew she was watching and that she strongly supports Greg Todd, George Ree, Larry Carr, Eileen Wilkerson, and Marty Reel for the Utility Committee. They have shown a great amount of commitment, and many of them have been involved working on these utility issues for 12 to 18 months with the ad hoc committee. They have experience with utility matters and sincerely want to help Boulder City citizens. Having a successful committee could help restore citizens' trust in what the city does. I have to agree with Judy. I have been to a few of these ad hoc committee meetings as well. These members have shown a great deal of commitment. They really do show an understanding of a lot of the issues, and I think it's important that we have this committee because transparency is what everybody has been asking for. That's the big issue, the big buzzword, transparency. This is the next step in that process to making sure that people feel confident that when we're talking about our utility rates that they are being put in place fairly and justly, and this is the first step to that process. Thank you.
Thank you. Others? Okay, we'll close our initial public comment period. And I neglected to mention, but now's a good time, that we have Councilwoman Peggy Levitt and Councilman Warren Harhay on the phone. Can you, both of you, hear us?
Yes, I can hear.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. We can hear everybody.
All right, we can hear you loud and clear too. Okay, so next we have our approval of the regular agenda. Madam City Clerk.
I would like to request that the council move item number 17 to follow item number 10, please.
Did you say 17? Okay. Mr. City Manager?
No further changes.
Mr. City Attorney?
No further changes.
Council?
Move to approve with changes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Next is approval of the consent agenda. Madam City Clerk.
No changes.
Mr. City Manager?
No changes.
Mr. City Attorney?
No changes.
And Council?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. That motion carries unanimously. Okay, we are on then to, well, we have some, I think it's fourth graders in the audience, correct? Can you all stand up so we can see you and recognize you? Not fourth graders? What graders are you? Are you, are they here for the, are you here for the recognitions tonight? All right. You did look a little bit big to be fourth graders to me, but I'm used to that. I'm used to fourth graders. All right, so welcome. We're going to recognize you a little bit later too, so thank you for coming tonight. All right, so we're on to a bunch of bill introductions. Item number 8 is introduction of bill number 1849. Madam City Clerk. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and introduce that bill, Mayor. That's bill number 1849 with the introduction and waive the reading except for title.
Bill number 1849, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, Nevada, to amend the zoning map to rezone approximately 1,155 acres in the El Dorado Valley Transfer Area from GO Government Open Space to ER Energy Resource, AM-19-340. Bill number 1849 will be considered at the June 10th regular City Council meeting.
Thank you. Next is item number 9, introduction of bill number 1850, and I'll go ahead and introduce that bill and waive the reading except for title.
Bill number 1850, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, amending portions of Title II, Chapter 8, debt obligations by deleting it from Title 2-8 and moving it to Title I, Chapter 9, Section 13, Financial Administration, and renumbering the subsequent chapter. This bill will also be considered at the June 10th regular City Council meeting.
Thank you. Next is item number 10, introduction of bill number 1851.
I'll introduce bill number 1851, waive the reading except for title.
Bill number 1851, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City, amending Title II by creating a new Chapter 9 titled Administrative Services Department. This bill will also be considered at the June 10th, 2019 regular City Council meeting.
Thank you. Next is item number 17, introduction of bill number 1852. I'll go ahead and introduce that and waive the reading except for title.
Bill number 1852, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City approving amendment number 94-A313B to agreement number 94-A313A between the City of Boulder City and Clark County to amend the Boulder City Conservation easement boundaries, and this bill will also be considered at the June 10th regular meeting.
Thank you very much. Next is item number 11, presentation of certificates of award for the St. Andrews Council of the Knights of Columbus Youth Contest winners. Come on up. Looks like we got some hardware there.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. My name is Robert Hartman. I'm representing the St. Andrews Council, number 807A to the Knights of Columbus, and also the Nevada State Council. For a number of years, we've run several contests here locally. One of them is the basketball free throw. And just a word on that. This year we had 276 kids locally compete. And that was roughly about half the total number of kids that participated in the state. And so I've got two basketball free throw trophies to award. And the first goes to Logan Tolman.
Is Logan here?
His mother called me earlier this evening and said they may be a little bit late. We also had another one, and this is Michaela Nilsson. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And folks, the way this little lady shot, the Lady Rebels are going to be seeking her out in a few years. The next contest we had was the soccer challenge, and we had one winner from the state, and this is Kaylee Donahue.
Is Kaylee here? No?
I don't know. I may have to have Chief Shea's assistance in tracking some of these kids down.
Yeah.
The last contest we had, and I'm really proud of this one because we had, there's 4 classifications, and the first one is substance or alcohol abuse, and that's ages 8 through 11. And what they did with each of the trophies is they took the painting that the kids made and incorporated it into the plaque. And out of the 4 classifications, Boulder City kids came home with all 4. The 8 to 11-year-old winner for alcohol abuse is Lily McKay. Congratulations. The next winner is the drug abuse poster contest winner, age group 12 to 14, Cooper Holton. Congratulations.
Thank you.
The next is the alcohol abuse poster contest, age 12 to 14, Jeremy Farrell. I think Chief Shea and I are going to be pretty busy. And last but not least is the drug abuse poster contest, age 8 to 11, Kira DeLong. And I would like to thank the staff at the Garrett Junior High School for helping us out with these contests and giving us a venue. I think Boulder City can be very proud of its educational system, especially with the junior high school and their tireless effort towards educating these young people and giving them a good starting place. And who knows, Mr. Mayor, one of these days, one of those kids is going to be sitting in your chair.
All right. How about today? So we're going to invite Michaela, Lily, Cooper, and Kira up, and we'll take some pictures with you if you want to come up. We'll invite council to step down. I noticed that a couple of these certificates, all the ones on the poster winners say alcohol. I think maybe we need to correct a couple of those. But we'll give them to you nevertheless, and we'll get them fixed. Congratulations to all of you. Does anybody want to give a speech? No? All right. Well, thanks for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. And maybe, do you want him to take those with him with the trophies? Maybe you should take these certificates if you're gonna track down the trophies. Winners' certificates could go with them. And thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right. We're on to item number 12, matters pertaining to the 2018 private activity bond volume bond cap.
Hello, good evening. My name is Melanie Evans. I'm with Nevada Rural Housing Authority. I'm the programs manager for Home at Last, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. We initiated our down payment assistance program for single-family homes in 2006, and since that time, we've assisted over 8,100 families with over $1.6 billion in mortgages, that's billion with a B, and $46.7 million in down payment assistance. We have assisted 16 homeowners with down payment assistance right here in Boulder City, and a total of 1,277 families in the community. That's all of Clark County. Let's see. Through this assistance, we've brought an investment of over $3.2 million to your city, and we've brought an investment of $295 million to your community. Today, we are requesting that Boulder City's allocation of private activity bond cap, or PABC for short, of $827,741.58. NRHA pools these funds with allocations of PABC we receive from other cities and counties around the state to fund single-family programs like the Mortgage Credit Certificate Program. So the MCC allows a qualified home buyer to claim a direct tax credit of up to $1,000 annually on his or her home based on the current 10% MCC rate. So home buyers can use this credit to increase their annual income to allow them more purchasing power, and it can also help reduce their debt-to-income ratio as well. The transfer of PABC does not create any obligation or debt for the city, and I think that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions that I can answer for you?
Thank you. Do you want to introduce your companion too?
Sure. This is Sophia. She's my assistant.
All right.
You want to say hello?
Welcome, Sophia. Council, any questions or comments? Anybody on the line have any comments? All right. Well, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was the question?
All right. We have so you're moving for Resolution 6939. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Coming out tonight. We appreciate it. All right. Next is item number 13, matters pertaining to the tentative and final budgets. We have Diane Pelletier, our finance director, to introduce that.
Diane Pelletier, Boulder City Finance Director. Agenda item 13 has 4 parts to it, and I'm just going to read what those are, and then we're going to have a short PowerPoint presentation. But Part A is a public hearing for the 19-20 tentative budget. The notice for this public hearing was published on May 17th, in the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Item B is Resolution 6940, which establishes the classification titles and position ranges as required by the City of Boulder City Municipal Code. Item C is discussion and approval of the fiscal year 1920 final operating and capital budgets. And Resolution D is the resolution cleaning up this year's budget for some miscellaneous items that occur each year. And it's just to clean up the housekeeping on our budget for this year. So with that, we can start with the PowerPoint. First thing I'd like to talk about is how we got to today. And actually, we started last July in discussions on the capital improvement program. And throughout the summer, last summer, we met with the directors, department directors, and listed the next 5 years' worth of capital needs. That adoption of that tentative capital improvement plan took place on November 27th, 2018. And between that November meeting and when we worked on the budget starting in February, we actually did a computer upgrade. So we were pretty busy over the holiday season. But then once we got our computer upgrade done, we started meeting with the department directors to go over their operation and maintenance budget. So the month of February was a short month, but very busy with meeting with the directors and then with the city manager meeting with the directors along with me. So then on March 13th, we had the city council work session to go over our preliminary budget. And on March 18th, we presented that same information to the citizens at the senior center. And then on April 10th, we had a special meeting to discuss the budget in which we had more information on positions that we discussed, I would say, quite thoroughly. And a lot of decisions were made at that meeting. On April 15th, the tentative budget was filed with the Nevada Department of Taxation, and brings us to tonight. So the purpose of the city budget is to present a clear picture to residents, council, and staff regarding the city's financial direction. It includes summaries of the revenues, expenditures, and personnel costs, and it provides an overview and summary of all city funds. And we also have the capital improvements, special projects, and other discretionary spending items, which are all packed into our information. So the other purpose of this is to improve the overall financial tracking for the city and provide a tool for heightening management's awareness. And it helps us achieve our prudent financial stewardship. And we started this last year, but we actually, I think, greatly improved these two documents. Actually, this one is from last year, and it's improved. I say 100% improved. There was a lot of additional new work put in here and a lot of really good information. So anybody who wants to learn about the budget and doesn't want to just have to look at numbers can actually pick up one of these documents, and it has a pretty good background of the Boulder City budget. But the new item this year was this executive summary, which we started last July, and that was tentatively adopted in November. So this document is pretty new, and it hasn't really changed much from November, but I'll get into that when we go over the PowerPoint information. It won't work. Oh, there it is. Okay. Since the budget was submitted, since the council's direction as approved on the April 10th meeting, and there was a lot of discussion that morning about the personnel positions, there's been some additional expense that came to our knowledge after that meeting involving pool pack, increasing insurance premiums. So we amended the budget from that April 15th time by $50,000. There was an additional expense of $6,500 added for Community Development Department, and that's to take care of the some increase in dues. And there was also a decision to delay the utility rate increases for 6 months. So now for the numbers part. the general fund revenue expenditure overview. So the total general fund operating and general fund capital is $35,500,000, and that's broken down in this slide by $34.6 million in revenues and $32.9 million in expenditures, leaving a 1.7 surplus. But because of our capital needs, we're also going to use some fund balance to bring up the amount we're going to contribute to capital of $2.6 million. So where the general fund money comes from is probably a familiar pie to most folks if they were here last year or have looked at information from last year. We use in a similar type format. Our largest revenues are consolidated tax and leases. They both make up a third of the budget, and then the rest is just smaller pieces. And then where the general fund money goes, our largest expenditure is for public safety at $12.45 million, and the budget is balanced at $35.5 million for revenues and expenditures. On the utilities, we basically now have 5 separate budgets: an administrative budget, electricity, water, wastewater, and landfill. We've implemented, we're going to defer the rate increases for 6 months, and those budgets have been adjusted for that loss of revenue. All budgets are self-sustaining, and electric, water, wastewater, utility condition assessments and rate study are some of the big assessments for next year's budget. So those are pretty big costs. They need to be done in order to get a good handle on what needs to be done to improve the system. On personnel, the final budget includes 11 new classifications and eliminates 4 classifications. We have a resolution creating a new job classification titles and position ranges as required by City Code. There's 13 new FTEs for a total FTE of 198. The 2019 FTEs were 184.8. And the general salary increase from most part-time, including part-time employees, is about 2.375%. The upcoming year's capital improvement plan has projects totaling about $30 million. There's been minimal changes since last November. There's been some shifting of projects and not dollars, so the total is pretty much about the same, but we've moved a few projects around. There's a new project that was added called Bistro Lighting, and the 5-year plan will be submitted to the Nevada Department of Taxation along with the budget. And before I turn it over for questions, I just want to briefly talk about the item D, Resolution 6941. That's the amendment to the current year budget, and it's a cleanup, as I mentioned, to miscellaneous adjustments in the current year budget. So Exhibit A in the packet lists those budget transfers and budget adjustments that we are requesting approval for. This is just a normal annually reoccurring item. And I think in the future, as we get better tools for budgeting and probably do better budgeting, we may have less and less of these adjustments, but we have a few this year. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments, Council? Mr. McManus.
One of the projects I think you had mentioned earlier in the year, and you mentioned this evening, computer upgrade or software upgrade. I believe the accounting system you use is called Munis.
Yes.
And I think you had talked about there being a module available that would allow the public to be able to access the system and view line items or a greater degree of granularity than what doesn't exist now.
Yes, we can get that module. We don't have that one right now, but that is on our plan for the upcoming year. Try to get, once I get all my personnel established, we're going to have someone start working on that. And there are some internal changes have to be done before we can properly reflect that information.
Okay, but that is on your
Yes.
to-do list for the
Yes,
year?
it is.
All right. In looking over the utility budgets, the electric budget, one of the items missing or that may have been renamed that I did not see was the 69 kV overhead line from the BC tap into Hemingway Valley.
That's in this year's budget.
Okay, so that's considered paid for?
No, I think there'll be some of that carried over for sure. But this document just has the upcoming year and the next 4 years. That'll be one of our improvements to this next year. We're going to have a carryover piece.
Okay.
Councilman McManus, yeah, the 69 kV loop was out of the current year we're in right now. The PO has been issued, but none of the money has been spent, so that money does roll over when they start invoicing us.
Okay. And again, I just wanted to make sure, as I say, as I look through the list there, I didn't see it listed, and that's been considered a critical project for a long period of time. Also on the electric budget, after listing all of the revenues and expenses, it still appears that we're 1.2 million in the black on that.
I would agree with you.
And that's after the deferment of the rate increase has been calculated?
Yes.
Okay. And that budget includes 6.4 million in capital improvement projects?
Yes.
I know I'm cheating because I actually have the numbers already here, but.
Yep.
And as I look at the electric capital improvement budget going forward, next year was 6.7 million, following year 7.75 million, then dropping down to 5.7 and 5.3. But the revenues, I'm assuming, are projected to be relatively flat over that period of time?
I don't recall right now how. I would think they would be. But I guess part of that will depend on the rate study we do, what's proposed. You know, they could go up, they could go down.
Okay. And again, what I'm getting at is we have over $6 million over the next at least 3 years projected for capital improvement projects. And even with that, we're still carrying a surplus, and that surplus includes our 6-month deferment of the rate increase.
Yes.
Okay. The point I'm getting at is we seem to be paying our bills, we seem to be doing the projects that we want to, and we're still accumulating a surplus in that fund.
Yes, but we don't know if it's a surplus because depending on what these studies reveal, we may need a lot more money than we have planned right now in this document.
Right. I'm just saying that if we look at it as it is right now, with the current expenses, the current capital improvement projects, all of that built in, we're still taking in more than what the fund requires to do what we want to do.
Yes.
Okay. The water fund, and I know you're not going to know the answer to this. Excuse me, the wastewater. There's a project called the Force Main from Wastewater Treatment Plan to Reuse Customer, estimated at a cost of $18.5 million. Can we get a description of what that project is for the benefit of those watching at home?
Not really. So, so I believe that project was, because it's not funded, but it was put into the capital plan as a future potential project, acknowledging that there may be an opportunity to either upgrade the treatment plant so that there's a potential for providing higher quality water to some future customers, whoever that might be. They probably wouldn't be any of the golf courses because 2 of them are on raw water and 1 of them we're hoping to put on raw water, so there wouldn't be any reason to put them on the reclaimed water. Right now there's one customer, essentially one customer on reclaimed water. It's really going to come down to what happens with our study with the Southern Nevada Water Authority as with regards to if we can do something to get return flow credits by treating the water to a higher standard and getting those return flow credits. And then it remains to be seen how that would be funded. So I think that's why in the capital plan it's shown as a project that's not funded. Okay. And those rates don't, at this point in time, the current rates and even what we do in the future is going to depend on that study. So.
Right. And I know from the discussions we've had, the Southern Nevada Water Authority is really just recently starting to look at reclaiming the discharge that we have from our treatment plant now, as of past 6 months, I guess.
Even less than that. So I met with them about the time we started the budget back in February, March. So they're just now collecting data, looking at the different alternatives, and then they'll start getting into more detail. Still going to be fairly high level to start with, just so we can get our arms around the options. The options would be putting it back in the river on this side of the valley, potentially using Henderson's collection system and treatment system and getting it back into Lake Mead, or even other potential options of injecting the groundwater or treating to a higher level where you can actually, potentially drink it, which is highly unlikely, but something we'll look at cost-wise.
Okay. And again, the reason I bring it up is when we look at these capital improvement projects, and within the wastewater division, the total capital improvement projects are $22.3 million, and of that is that 18.5 for a project that we have no clear idea of what specifically it would be used for.
Yes, it remains to be seen.
Okay. Again, I think when we look at these numbers, to get an understanding of what is behind that total is critical for understanding what our rate should look like.
Yes, and when we get into the rate study, we'll clearly have those options in mind and getting into bigger detail on what those revenue requirements would be based on what the capital improvement plan should be.
All right. Another question on water. There's budgeted, and it's not really within the utility fund, but $1 million for irrigation replacement and upgrades at the municipal golf course.
Yeah, that's not my project, but Roger, you want to field that one?
I sure will.
And then I'll sit down and hide somewhere.
Thank you. The existing golf course. The existing golf course was built in the 1970s. The front 9, the back 9 was built in 1985, basically. So we have a 18-hole golf course. The system that they put in was the old system. For example, if you had a dry spot on number 1, the way it's set up, you'd have to run a line of sprinklers, probably 15, 16 sprinklers on number 5, on number 1, and number 2 to get that water spot or the dry spot. The irrigation system is very inefficient. The new system would be a valve and head system, and basically you can isolate your dry spots. It would save a great deal of water cost and labor cost, and it'd get rid of a lot of waste down there at the Boulder City Golf Course.
Okay, that money's not coming from the golf course funds, right? That's general fund money that's going to that project?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Has there been an estimation on when the payoff of that $1 million would be with the water savings, labor savings, whatever other savings?
Well, it's being looked at right now. We're looking at the possibility of doing it in conjunction with putting raw water on the course as well, which is lower cost to us as opposed to potable water. And that's being looked at by our new utilities director. And so we're looking at the overall idea of reducing costs at the golf course by eliminating a lot of water loss, basically.
Again, the question is, what's the payoff horizon on that? When we're asking for $1 million out of the general fund for an improvement at the golf course, so the golf course fund is not supporting it. Is it 20 years, 30 years?
Well, the finance director said it's more like 5 years.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something?
Sure. Did we answer that as best as we can? Yes, go ahead.
My understanding is that on the golf course, because we'll be replacing some turf, there's also reimbursement from the Southern Nevada Water Authority for any turf removal.
That's a possibility too. Yes, that's a possibility that we're looking into as well. There's a lot of turf on the existing Muni golf course that really doesn't come into play, and that can be eliminated. I know the Southern Nevada Water Authority is giving $3 a square foot for people to remove their turf, and we're looking at that as well.
That would apply to municipalities also, that credit?
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does, and for golf courses.
Yes.
Thank you. Now back to a budget question. The Utility Administration Fund lists $3.4 million in transfers in from the individual utility accounts.
Yes.
And then there's a transfer out to the general fund of approximately $1 million.
Yes.
And I don't get that.
And that's for administrative services that the general fund provides to the utility fund, like processing their accounts payable, processing their payroll, providing attorney services, city manager services, all of the administrative services that we provide to the utility funds.
Okay, and you know, I assume that there was some cost there, but the expenses that you list for that fund, utility administration, central services, billing and collections, are all included in that amount that's being transferred in from the other utilities. So
right. So that's allocated according to the size of each utility. They proportionately contribute to all the costs that make up the administrative fund.
Okay, so outside those activities, then you're saying that there's still another $1 million worth of work being done by other city employees that is not captured within those expenses?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any specifics on that?
I provided that information in the last budget, but I can definitely, it's a percentage that was calculated during the rate study about 5 years ago, and it was a time study of the amount of time spent by the general fund departments administering services to the utility funds.
Okay, so more of a percentage estimate rather than...
Yes.
Okay.
I do want to clarify something that I mentioned earlier. I did say all the funds are balanced, and they are, but the water utility fund, if it wasn't getting money transferred in from the voter approved, so if you look at page 14 in this document, so on page 14, there's transfers in of $1.5 million. So if those transfers in weren't happening, then this fund would be in a deficit. So it's relying on the voter-approved funding for the utilities to help supplement this fund. And the wastewater is also in a similar situation.
Okay, even though this year it looks like there's roughly $900,000 in the black between revenues and expenses on the water utility. Again, looking at page 14.
But that includes the transfer in.
And the transfer in is?
Is from the voter-approved funding that can be used. But the utilities could not support itself just on its rates and get their capital done if we didn't have money coming in from the voter-approved funds.
And that money comes from the capital improvement fund or the general fund?
Yes, this is to take care of the capital. There's $1.5 million in the capital next year for the water fund.
Okay, but I mean it comes out of the capital improvement fund, not out of the general fund, but out of the capital improvement?
It comes out of the water utility. We're trying to make these funds support themselves. So the water projects should be supported by the water utility fund. But the water utility fund is not generating enough money to pay those projects. So we are using the voter-approved monies that were approved by the voters to use for utility projects.
Right.
But they've had to use just about all that money.
And what I'm getting at is that voter-approved money that you're referring to is actually lease money that goes into the capital improvement fund and then comes back out?
And land sales.
Okay, if there are land sales.
Right.
Right. Okay, so that would then put that fund, if that money were to go away, then we would be, what, $600,000 in the red on that, at least for this current year?
Yes.
And capital projects are at $1.5 million?
Yes.
Within that fund?
Mm-hmm.
So the water fund itself is responsible for all of the $1.5 million from the capital improvement fund that's voter approved money.
We've actually, I believe, made the projects fit the funding available. So we don't know what'll happen next year with that. So, depending on, again, these studies and the infrastructure evaluations and assessments, we don't know what the future needs are going to be. So what we've tried to do is tailor what we can do with what the funding we have available. So there is a little bit of restriction as to, what we can do and what we can't do right now.
And that fund is actually the only debt that Boulder City has right now. We pay $2.3 million a year in debt. Yes. out of that particular fund.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So if we say that the $1.5 million then coming out of the capital improvement fund is actually going towards the debt service, is that correct? I mean, we could, since we're moving money around, we could say that that's where that money's going.
I wouldn't classify it that way, but I guess it's one pot of money. But we could say one of these dollars is going towards that, but that's not really the way it's structured right now.
Okay, so I guess what I'm getting at is, I think that money was initially said to the voters that that was going to go towards improvements in our systems, but really it's just paying off old debt or helping.
No, it's going towards improvements in the system.
Well, it depends on which dollar you pick to do that with, right?
Well, I know the way we put this together, it's going towards projects.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Any others? Councilwoman Levitt, Mr. Hare?
I have none.
I have none.
All right, thank you.
I just have one comment to make, Diane. With respect to voters' approval of paying the debt on the raw water line, that was a question presented to the voters in 2016 that they did approve. So although she's categorizing it as paying for projects, it could also pay for debt.
But the land sale that we hope to have happen at some point around the land around the golf course is earmarked for that. Yes.
Again, it's all which dollar you pick to do it with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So we do have a public hearing on the tentative budget, correct? So I'll open up the public hearing on the tentative budget. Anyone wishing to speak on the tentative budget? All right, I'll close the public hearing, and can we take all of these at once then? All right, I'm going to go ahead then and move for approval of items, what are they, 13B, C, and D. Is that correct?
I believe we need separate votes on each one of those. They are separate items.
Okay, we can do them separate. I will move for approval of item B, resolution number 6940. All in favor? Oh, I need a second. Sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next is item number C. I'll move for approval of item 13C, which is the final operating and capital budgets.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
That motion carries with Mr. McManus dissenting. And then item number D is Resolution 6941. I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries unanimously. All right. Anything else on that item? All right. So item number 14, appointment to the Utility Advisory Committee. Who is introducing that item?
I will, Mayor, thank you. The City Council established a Utility Advisory Committee by Resolution 6917 at its April 9th regular meeting. This committee is comprised of 7 members serving 2-year terms. In order for terms to be staggered, staff is recommending that 3 members be appointed to a 1-year term and 4 members be appointed to a 2-year term so they don't all expire at the same time. And so there were interested volunteers. Their data sheets were submitted in your packet. And we have several very qualified applicants, so we thank those who have submitted their data sheets. And I think the best way to do it is either go for the 2-year term first and then the 1-year term, but do it separately, appointments by the term length, please. So everyone will get to vote for 7 members, but if we do it the 1-year term, everybody votes for 3, 2-year term, everybody votes for 4.
All right. I'm going to go. So first I need to disclose that I have a conflict with Michael Giroux. So to the extent he's nominated, I will have to abstain. He's a client of mine, current client, past client, and on unrelated matters, but in the interest of erring on the side of caution, I will abstain from any vote and deliberation with respect to him. And so I will go ahead and make some nominations. I'll open nominations, and these are really in no particular order of priority, but
is this for the 1 or 2-year term, Mayor?
This is for we can have discussion on that once we're nominated. So I will nominate Howard Anala, Keith Bacon, Shane Cunningham, Marty Reel,
oh my goodness,
Ned Shamo, Greg Todd, and Eileen Wilkinson. And I'm sure we may have a lot more.
Well,
Mayor,
I think we're making this very difficult on the Madam City Clerk as far as keeping a tally sheet on these different individuals.
Okay. So was that 7 nominations?
Sure. I'll nominate them for 2-year terms then.
Okay. So I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
Sure. Howard Anala, Keith Bacon, Shane Cunningham, Marty Reel, Ned Shamo, Greg Todd, Eileen Wilkinson.
We're only looking at 4 for 2-year terms. Is that correct?
I have 7 names for you, too.
Wait. I'm sorry. I just want to repeat this because that was fast. Anala, Bacon, Cunningham. Did you say Carr?
Reel. Marty. Reel.
Yeah, I got that. Marty, Reel, Greg.
Shamo, Todd.
Oh, Shamo. Okay,
Wilkinson.
I missed one. Okay. All right.
So these are for 2-year terms,
Got it.
which we will need 4 in the end. Do you have other names, Mr.?
I do. I have 7 names.
Okay. Are they all different than the ones I named?
Some are different, some are the same.
Okay.
I will say that we have some really excellently qualified candidates. Awesome. Awesome resumes. Anala, Shamo, Ree, Todd, Wilkinson, Carr.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question about the procedure.
Okay, hang on one second. Let Mr.
Can you start over and please slow it down?
Sure. Anala, Shamo, Ree, Todd, Wilkinson.
This is a test.
Got it.
Shamo.
Got it.
Ree, Todd, Wilkinson, Carr, and Cunningham.
Okay, so we added Ree and Carr to my list. Hey, Mr. Arhay, you have a question?
Yeah, just a question about the procedure, what we're doing. Are any of the applicants at City Hall chambers right now?
Yes, and we'll allow them to speak if they would like to.
I'd like to hear at least from them at least in a minute or so, those that are present, to augment the applicant's information that we have, which is very sparse in trying to make a decision for this very important commission. It's a difficult decision to make when you have no opportunity to interview or talk with these folks, and none of them have communicated directly to City Council other than the form that's been sent to the city clerk and then forwarded to the council for consideration. It's a flawed process in my mind, in that we don't give an opportunity for those people that we don't have a direct working relationship in the past. And as the mayor had mentioned that he had a relationship with Mike Giroux, I have a relationship with Mike Giroux in the past, and that I did some pro bono writing for his column in one of the local magazines. It was there's no compensation and there's no other business arrangement than that authorship of that article. But in terms of some of the other people who I have no background information on, I'd like to hear from them in terms of what their strong points are, in terms of what their commitment can be. And that's really difficult to do with just a list of names. And it appears that what would happen is the first people whose names were nominated would have a leg up in terms of being selected, when it may not be the case that that order is the appropriate order to select them. In my selection process, I made a matrix of what the skills that they have disclosed in their application, and their commitment to the community, their longevity in the community, and other things, and weighted those to come up with my list. And I'm concerned that some of the people may not get a fair shake because other people just by happenstance or by alphabetical order would be selected for the committee. The other thing is, I believe it's we're going to go for 3 applicants for a 2-year term, and then
4.
Is that right?
I believe 4 for the 2-year term.
Correct.
4 for the
2-year term.
4 for the 2, and then 1 for the single one. Okay.
3. So there's 7 members. So we would have 3 for the 1-year term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have we come to a procedure?
Well, I'm just doing it.
Other than individually naming these. I know some of these people very well.
Yeah.
And others I'm at a
Let me ask you a question. Mr. Harvey, are you wanting to hear from everyone in the room who's on the list before you make your nominations, or do you want to?
The difficulty is it's a good problem that we have, and that we have a lot of qualified applicants, and so not all the qualified applicants obviously are going to be chosen. Some other are not going to be chosen, and that presents a problem to me, because I do want to pick the best ones for this commission, especially. It's a brand new commission. We want to have the best possible people on it for its novice operations and running. So it's almost, I feel that without having the opportunity to have some more input from these applicants, we're doing not only a disservice to some of those folks, but we're also doing a disservice to the city in not possibly having a selection that is the best possible means of selecting these people.
Hey, we can't hear when you do that. Please don't. You've already had your chance
Now, I have
to
my
speak.
7. I have my 7, but that means there's a number of people here that, it's different from their 7. It just, to me, it seems like to be a clumsy system, which does not, will not lead to the best results for the city and our ratepayers and the people who are customers of our utility. And I want to have the best possible kickoff for this thing.
So do you want to hear from? Do you want to hear from those that are here before you make your nominations, or do you want to make your nominations first?
No, I'd like to hear from those that are here. That's another point that they're interested enough to make sure that they attend the selection process. Although that also is not fair, because I don't know whether they were told that that's going to be a condition. But for me, I would like to have at least an eyeball discussion with some of these folks who I've picked just based on black and white printing without any other background information.
Okay, well, I will tell you that at least in my case, some of these people have come to me and we've had discussions, and I've always done that in the past with committee members that are proposing to be. Doors always open. But is there anybody else that wants to make any nominations before we have the individuals who are here speak if they would like to speak?
Well, I'd just like to say that it should be the option for the people that are here. It's just public comment. If they want to come up and speak, we shouldn't put them on the spot.
No,
shouldn't
they
be
don't have
required. That's not an interview. We don't have questions for them.
But I will give that opportunity. So anybody else wanted to make any nominations before we ask that of those in the audience?
Are there nominations on the floor already?
Yes, there are. We have 9. I can read them to you. Howard Anala, Keith Bacon, Shane Cunningham, Marty Reel, Ned Shamo, Greg Todd, Eileen Wilkinson, George Ree, and Mr. Carr. I didn't write down his first name, sorry.
Well, I have 7 names as well.
Okay, go ahead.
How do we do this? Should I give you my 7?
Sure.
All right.
These are for the 2-year term.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Keith Bacon.
Okay, Anala.
Larry Carr.
Bacon, Carr. Go ahead.
Thomas. I can't remember right. Thomas Darna.
Marvin.
I can't read my own writing. Thomas. From
Thomas Marvin.
With Walker. Yeah.
Thomas Marvin.
George Ree.
Okay.
Yeah, George Ree. And Ned Shamo and Greg Todd are my 7 picks. And how you split them up to the...
Okay, so we added one name to the list, and that's Thomas Marvin. Councilwoman Levitt, do you have any additional? This is for the 2-year term.
It dropped out here, so I missed that, whatever that was, the last sentence.
And I apologize, Mr. Hari, you didn't nominate Mr. Giroux, correct? You were just making a disclosure there.
No, I did not. I just disclosed that I had a business relationship, but it was pro bono.
Okay. Mr. McManus.
Did Councilwoman Levitt complete her list?
Do you have any additional, Councilwoman Levitt, to nominate for the 2-year term?
Is she there?
She may be dropped, huh?
think I had it on mute. Did you hear anything I said?
No.
We've been waiting patiently, though.
I was rattling on and on. I'm sorry. What I said is I've got 3 lists here, and I'm trying to compare. So it's just kind of confusing. So Councilman McManus can go ahead, and I'll try and see if I can get this organized while he's doing it, because I also have my list, but I'm trying to see if there's some crossover here. So Councilman McManus, go ahead.
Thank you. One, I know when we got started on this process of getting this committee together, there was concern that we wouldn't have enough qualified people putting in for it. I believe that has been resolved. We have many qualified people for this. I do have a couple of questions, and again, this is no reflection on the people that have put in for it, but in looking over the applications, Mr. Anala, Mr. Porter, is that someone you have any type of professional experience with? I notice he works for the city of Henderson.
Yes, in my past. That should be better. Howard actually worked in the utility department for the city of Henderson during my tenure there. Haven't spoken to Howard in years. I'm not even sure if he still works there or not, or if he's retired. But
it looks like he's listing it as current employment.
Yeah. But yes, Howard and I do have a past working relationship.
Okay, thank you. I noted that Keith Bacon appears to be currently employed by Southwest Gas. That's not one of the utilities that Boulder City has within its municipal control. But again, I'm concerned about having people that are currently employed for any type of utility. Shane Cunningham, I believe up until the last 30 days, was an employee of Boulder City within the Public Works Department. Again, this is no reflection on Mr. Cunningham. I had an opportunity to speak with him a couple of times. He seems like a very professional individual, but I'm just wondering if that's enough separation from employment with the city to be then looking at serving on a committee that may be making adverse recommendations for some of the actions that the city's undertaking. Ned Shamo, again, someone I've known for a long time, was our city electrical administrator for some 30-odd years. Again, I think that is great to have experience in these positions, but maybe that's a little too close of a tie, having been in charge of the system for that many years. While it gives him a lot of experience, I think we need some new eyes on this. So those are some of the folks that, again, they appear to be very well qualified for this. I just had some reservations as far as connections that they may have with the city and whether we can look outside that and get a fresh set of eyes on this. The names that I have are Larry Carl, Greg Todd, Martin Reel, Eileen Wilkinson, George Ree, Thomas Marvin, and James Houts.
Okay, it looks like we added James Houts to the list then.
What was your first one, Councilmember McManus?
Larry Carl.
Carr,
excuse me.
Okay, got it.
Councilwoman Levitt. Shall we add all the remaining names to the list, or?
Oh, am I on now?
You're on. Yeah.
Okay, Howard, Bacon, Carr, Marvin, Lee, Shamo, and Todd.
I missed one.
You said who was before Todd? Sorry.
Shamo.
I got that.
So I hear you said Anala, Bacon,
Carr,
Marvin, Shamo,
Reed, Ree.
And Todd, correct?
Shamel and Todd, yes.
Okay. So for the two-year terms, I have Anala, Bacon, Cunningham, Reel, Shamo, Todd, Wilkinson, Ree, Carr, Marvin, and Houts. Does that match your list?
Well, I didn't do it like that, but yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm confident I have everyone's marked, but I don't know how you want to do it. But I think the easiest way, just because I made a chart, is if everyone votes for 4 on the 2-year term, because we're placing 4 members. And so everyone would, when we read off these nominations, everyone would pick 4 for the 2-year term.
Okay, so we're going to let people speak first unless there's any further discussion from council. All right, there's among those candidates that are on this list, is there anyone wishing to speak for yourself? We'll give you a minute and a half to stand up. Greg.
Of the people on that list, who's in the room?
Well, Mr. Todd's about to speak to us.
Good evening, City Council and members of the City of Boulder City. My name is Greg Todd. I've been a resident of Boulder City for 12 years. During that 12 years, I've spent 26 years working for the LA Department of Water and Power, electrical foreman and supervisor, along with assisting in construction, design, and installation of anything from 1,000,000 volts DC down to a 120-volt wall outlet. I've worked on transmission lines, sub-transmission, power stations, transformers, just about anything to do with electricity. That has been my lifeblood. I retired 3.5 years ago from LA Water and Power and decided this to be my home. I feel that I can give a lot of experience and a lot of help in the system and in the distribution of Boulder City's electric, and also a strong background in water and anything to do with pipe. So that's basically the simplest way I can do it. If any other references or credentials or anything need to be given, I can supply them on demand. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Others of the candidates wishing to speak? Mr. Ree.
George Ree. So my name is George Ree. I wasn't expecting to speak, but since I was kind of requested to speak, I'm happy to do that. I'm a scientist. That's my training. I don't have experience in utilities, but I'm very interested in renewable energy and climate change. I teach classes on those subjects for physics majors and non-science majors at UNLV. I recently published a paper on water supply from tree rings and statistics, which impacts the flows of the Colorado River, from which we derive our water. And I was invited by Mr. Harhay to, when the ad hoc utility committee was set up, to join it, and I've attended the meetings fairly regularly. So I think I can bring, if nothing else, an original voice to these issues from someone who's not a professional on these things. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Reel.
Good evening, Council. I wasn't expecting to speak either, but my background is accounting, and I retired as the controller for Titanium Metals Corporation in Henderson. And during several years in the 90s, I can't remember 4 or 5, TIMET has an allocation of water and power from the dam, which they've had since the 70s. And I did sit on the State of Nevada Division of Colorado River Commission for about 5 years. So I have a little bit of experience there. We were a huge consumer of both water and power. And like I said, my experience is in accounting, and I was their controller. So I think that the city of Boulder City is really in the business of the utilities, and it's really important that we have good understanding of the accounting and costs of the system. And that's about it. Thank you.
I missed your name at the beginning.
It's Marty Reel. Martin Reel on your packet.
Marvin Reel. Oh, okay, Marty Reel.
Yeah.
Okay.
real short. I'm Eileen Wilkinson. I moved here about 3 years ago, retired from the city of Lincoln City in Oregon, and I was responsible for the utility billing, water and sewer. And so I'm very familiar with that aspect of utilities and also financial budgets, municipal budgets. And I care about this city, so thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else that I missed wishing to speak? Okay.
Mayor, we could do it an easier way. So there's one person that had all 5 council members nominate him. So if you didn't want to vote on it, we could just appoint him to the 2-year term. That's Mr. Todd. And then we have we have 4 people that received 4 nominations. And so those 4 could automatically be appointed. We just have to determine who would go to the 1-year term. And then we have 3 people that received 3 votes, and the rest it was 2 or 1. So we could just take the top nominees if you wanted to do it that way.
Okay. Do we have any appetite for doing it that way? Are we okay with that?
Just out of curiosity, who are the people?
Okay. No. So
I thought it might be a fair question, but maybe not.
Be transparent. Yeah. So Mr. Todd has all 5 council members nominated Mr. Todd. Then Howard Anala had 4 nominations. Larry Carr had 4. George Ree had 4. Ned Shamo 4. Keith Bacon had 3. Thomas Marvin had 3. Eileen Wilkinson had 3. So that's 8.
And we need 7.
Yes.
Yes.
Lou, can you tell me who you said after Bacon?
Yes. Mr. Carr, Larry Carr, had 4 nominations.
Thank you.
Okay, council, any discussion on that proposal? We would have to obviously eliminate, of the 2-year term, we have to select 4. So we have a 5 and 3, 4, or 4.
I have another question.
Yeah.
I have another question. For Ned Shamo, how many years has he been retired from Boulder City? I just want, in reference to the objection that Mr. McManus had.
At least 10, because I know Rory worked here 10 years, so he's been retired a minimum of 10 years.
All right. That's what I thought. He's pretty well disconnected.
I think that's about right. I think he told me he was around in about 2008, so I think it's a little over 10 years.
I think now that we have a list of names, I do think we need to go back through these names rather than going on a prior vote. Now that we have all the names out there, I think we need to go back through that, whether we want to do it in the groupings that you...
All right. Let's see. There's no perfectly fair way to do this, so I'm just going to do it alphabetical. Is everybody ready to pick your top 4 for...
Again, Mr. Mayor, I think it's much better for the process if we vote on each individual.
Yeah, we will.
Rather than doing a slate. Plus, we have a difference to make between those who are being elected to 2-year terms and those being elected to 1-year terms.
Correct. So we'll go through them one by one. I just want to make sure everybody's ready to pick your 4 for the 2-year term, and we'll go one at a time. Are you ready for that? We're going to do 2-year term first. All right. So I'm going to do this alphabetically. Sorry that we're favoring those who have...
I'm not sure that works out, though. If we're going to vote on these I think, again, by going in the groupings that the city clerk has already put forward, that might be a better way to do this than alphabetically, but...
Okay, I thought you were suggesting otherwise, but I'm happy to do it that way. So are we good with going with Mr. Todd first, and then to those that got 4 nominations? All right, that's what we'll do then. So for the 2-year term, all those in favor of Mr. Greg Todd?
Aye.
Well,
Aye.
shouldn't we consider
What was the question?
Mr. Todd for the 4-year term, though?
There's no 4-year
is
term,
no
but should
4-year
Mr.
term.
Todd, well, it's okay. You do.
Okay, so...
I think Mr. Harhay has a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what was the vote on?
This is for... So,
Connection is bad.
yeah. So this is going to be for those 4 members that we're appointing to 2-year terms, and we're going to go through them one by one. So make sure you know which 4 you're going to vote for. That's what I was asking, to make sure you're ready to do that, because we're going to go through all of these 11 or 12 names we have here, one by one.
Vote for 4.
And you're going
I
to...
thought we were just going through the top vote getters. We're
Well,
going through all the names.
okay. What we're going to do is we're going to go through name by name, and we're going to pick... You get 4 votes. So pick the 4 that you want. If I name a name and you don't want to vote for that person, it's not one of your top 4 for the 2-year term, then don't vote yes. Just be silent on that one. Okay? All right. So I'm going to go through in the order of those who received the most nominations. We'll do the 5 first, which is Mr. Greg Todd. So again, the vote is for Mr. Greg Todd to the 2-year term. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's a unanimous 5 votes for Mr. Todd he's appointed to the 2-year term.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going through those that were given 4 nominations. Mr. Howard Anala, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So that's 3, I believe, and that's we didn't hear from Mr. Schuman or Mr. McManus.
No, I said
correct?
I voted yes.
Oh,
for
you
him.
did?
Yeah.
So that's 4 then?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody voted for Mr. Anala except Mr. McManus, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, that's 4 votes. And then Mr. Ned Shamo, all in favor of Mr. Ned Shamo?
Aye.
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 Okay, that's 4, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
4 votes. Okay, Mr. George Ree, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, didn't we get our 3 2-year term?
We need 4.
4.
Oh.
Okay, let's do that a vote again. Mr. George Ree, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have 2?
Mm-hmm.
I have 3. I had Harhay, McManus, and Schuman for Mr. Ree.
Okay, Mr. Harhay, did you vote for Mr. Ree?
Yes.
Okay, so we have 3 for Mr. Ree. Then I will too. So then we'll have our top 4. Congratulations to Mr. Anala, Mr. Shamo, Mr. Todd, and Mr. Ree to your 2-year terms. All right. Now the 1-year terms. Do we have any additional nominations besides those already nominated?
Well, again, I believe out of the group that had previously received 4 votes, you never asked about Mr. Carr.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, Mr. Carr. All in favor of Mr. Carr?
Aye.
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 Okay, we have... All right, so Count up the number of votes you have there for each one to make sure we have a total of 20 votes.
5, 10, 15, and 4. I have 23 votes.
Okay.
Because Greg Todd was unanimous. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. 22, 5, 10, 14, 22 votes. Greg Todd.
We need a secret ballot poll.
And George Ree each had 5. Ned Schammel had 4. Howard Anala had 4.
Okay. So Greg Todd had 5. Who had 3? Anybody?
Well, at first, George Ree had 3, I think, and then 2 people put their vote in.
Okay, so
Did
we can't.
everyone vote for 4? Somebody voted more than
No,
4
because
times.
if you don't vote, it doesn't count. So, no, you're not going to be able to do it that way.
So,
Well, still, okay. So it should be less than 20 or less votes,
Yes.
not 23.
so I'm telling you who voted more than once. I only have 3
Okay.
for McManus,
Here's what we're going to do.
5 for Levitt, and 5 for Harhe.
Mr. Schuman, who did you vote for?
I think I went Anala.
Schuman, I have 5 for you. Mr. Schuman, I have 5 for you too.
Hang on. Who did you vote for, Mr. Schuman?
You want to know my 4 people?
Yes, I want your 4.
Anala, Shammo, Todd, and Ree.
Okay, you got that?
Yes.
You're the matrices person.
I repeat it.
Okay, so Mr. Schuman voted for
Anala, Shammo, Todd, and Ree.
Anala, Shammo, Todd, and Ree.
That's his top 4. I have that.
Mr.
Peggy, I need Peggy's top 4.
Okay, Miss Peggy
I
Levin.
have. I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
Yes, please. Your top 4.
Okay, I have Todd, Anala, Shammo, and Ree.
Todd, Anala,
That's okay,
Shammo,
no one
and
else
Ree.
did. So.
Okay.
And now I need Mr. Councilmember Harhe, your top 4, please.
So, Mr. Harhe, we are trying to recount the votes on the 4 that will be appointed to the 2-year term. So, who are your 4?
Well, I did not get 4 the last time.
Mr. Harhe, Councilmember Harhe, I have you for 5. You had Anala.
You guys picked a great meeting to be absent.
Carr, Ree, Shammo, and Todd. So I have 1 extra vote for you. I need 4, please.
Carr, Ree, Shammo, and Todd I've got for 4. So it's going to be 4.
Carr, Ree, Shammo, Todd. Okay. Yeah, now.
Now you need mine.
I have yours as Anala, Ree, Shammo, and Todd. Was that correct?
That is how I voted. That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we have 20 votes. Todd, Shammo, and Ree are in, but I have 2 for Carr and 3 for Anala. So Anala's in for the 2-year term. Anala, Ree, Shammo, Todd for the 2-year term.
All right. Should we just leave it at 4 members? Okay, we're on to the 1-year term. Can you hear me okay?
Mr. Mayor, I think, in the spirit of expediting this, I think the city clerk has Councilman Jorge, would it be possible for you to mute your phone, please?
And stop rapping, too?
The connection here is terrible, going in and out. So sometimes it's complete.
It's noticeable at this end as well.
So we do have a tie again. So we have 4 people with 3 votes, and so we need to eliminate one person.
What I would like to do is have each of us present our next 3 then, see how that total comes out.
You didn't want to vote for the next vote getters with the remainder, Bacon, Carr, Marvin, and Wilkinson?
Well, we only have 3 left, but
Right.
we have some names that are not on that list that some of us may prefer.
So you want to renominate the people?
Well, I want to name our next...
Hang on, Mr. Jorge, hang on, because we can't, I know you can't hear, but we got a lot of talking going on. Okay, Mr. McManus.
I think by nominating the next 3, we can come up with, each of us nominates our next 3. We can then come up with a list for the 1-year terms and work from there.
Okay, so we've already got nominations on the floor.
The problem is that if we keep going this way, there are people that are being eliminated that may be considered by others but didn't receive enough votes earlier. So again, I don't think we should just be eliminating people because some people have been selected. That may prompt a council member to then select someone else.
Okay. Do we have any additional nominations besides those that are already on the list? Let's start there.
I had James Houts.
He's on the list. So we have remaining on the list Keith Bacon, Shane Cunningham, Marty Reel, Eileen Wilkinson, Larry Card, Thomas Marvin, James Houts. Anybody else that you want to add to that list? Okay, so I'm hearing none. So
I've got a question.
Absolutely.
For consideration in this process. Is there any time of the essence requirement that we make this decision tonight?
Yeah.
Why don't we
almost
we
to
do?
the finish
There
line.
isn't-
We can wait till 12:01 p.m. if you want us to, but we're here tonight to do it, so let's do it.
Well, my thing is, if the front runners, we already made a selection from which we could make a second selection, but it's so confusing as all it's up in the air as to who took notes for how many people got this vote or how many people got that vote.
That's why I like Mr. McManus's idea. Let's just say our top 3, then we won't be confused about it. So I'm going to name the people that are still on the list, and I want you to either write them down or have them in your head so you know, and then you're going to get to vote for 3. So the people people still on the list are Keith Bacon, Shane Cunningham, Marty Reel, Eileen Wilkinson, Larry Carr, Thomas Marvin, James Houts. You need me to repeat any?
Okay, my 3 would be Keith Bacon, Larry Carr, and Thomas Nard.
Thomas Marvin.
Okay.
All right.
Who do you want next?
Whoever wants to name their top 3.
I have my 3.
All right.
Wilkinson, Carr, and Cunningham. Wilkinson, Carr, and Cunningham.
Okay. Councilmember Levitt.
My top are Carr, Bacon, and Marvin.
Okay, Councilmember McManus?
Carr, Wilkinson, Reel.
And Mayor Woodbury?
I'm going to go with Bacon, Cunningham, and Wilkinson. I'm sure
Okay,
we made
Mr.
it
Carr has 4. Bacon has 3. Cunningham 2. Marvin 2. Oh no. Wilkinson 3. Oh, that does it. So that would be Keith Bacon, Larry Carr, and Eileen Wilkinson for the 1-year term.
So we should have had a total of 15 votes, right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yes, I have 15.
That's correct.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, come on. It wasn't that bad. You want to be on the camera doing that?
Oof. All right. Do you want me to repeat the 2 and 1 year so everyone's clear?
I'd like you to repeat all 7, please.
Yes. Okay. Just for clarification, the 2-year terms go to Howard Anala, George Ree, Ned Shamo, Greg Todd. The 1-year terms are Keith Bacon, Larry Carr, and Eileen Wilkinson.
All right. Congratulations, everybody that made the top 7. And thank you to all of you for being willing to step up. Great problem to have with lots of qualified candidates. Makes it a little complicated to choose, but it's a great thing to have people willing to serve on our committees. And this is a long-awaited committee, one that we don't usually, on my 8 years, I don't recall having to constitute a whole committee, so that's a good thing. And we're anxious to see how you can help us. I know that there'll be a learning curve on both sides of the table, both for the committee members as well as city staff and council. And just thank you for participating and being willing to serve. And those of you that didn't make it, 1 year from now we'll be selecting 3 new spots, I guess. And you can still participate by just being great citizens and going to those meetings and helping out. Okay. We are on to then item number 15.
Can I have a comment?
Yes. Go ahead.
I just want to comment. First, it's an embarrassment, but it's because of an embarrassment of riches in terms of this, the interest in this positions. And I would like to suggest that sometime the staff and the council get together so that we have a more structured format if we're ever put in this position again, as well as to perhaps look at all of the requirements that we would like to have put on that volunteer form. I can think of a number that make it sadly lacking in some of the areas. So I would like to just throw that out for an idea for council and the staff to work together on this process to make it a little more streamlined. That's my 2 cents. Thanks.
All right, perfect. And we'll try to have everybody here next time we do a full committee selection. Okay. So, City Clerk's annual report. Madam City Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm just going to briefly go over some activities and some projects that have been accomplished in the City Clerk's office for the past year. This is by no means, it does not encompass everything we do, but just some items regarding records, elections, passports, requests, items like that. So, just for the public's knowledge, our office only consists of 4 people total. There's 3 full-time employees, and we do have a part-time employee office assistant. Her name is Carolyn, and she's a great benefit to our office. The staffing levels in the city clerk's office have not increased in 20 years. Although the part-time position was added in 2012, it was a revenue neutral position because we used to contract out our microfilming services, but as that technology became obsolete, we added a person to go ahead and scan our records and digitize some of our permanent records, and at zero cost to the city. It's more cost effective to have a person in-house, and that way we can maintain control of our records as well. Oops. So we'll start off with elections. Some of the big changes in that area happened last year at the council's request. When the legislature changed our city charter in 2011, it gave us the option to move our elections to even-numbered years. Several presentations were provided to the council, and in 2018, our office drafted an ordinance at the council's request to go ahead and move forward with that. So that was really because the Clark County Election Department had done an audit in 2015 and discovered they were underbilling all the municipalities. And as you know, because I've been sending updates when I receive very, very large bills from the county, they charge us for every Post-it note, every pen, and so the costs have dramatically increased to conduct our own elections. So we are in the process of moving our elections to even-numbered years. And I've also, with the other city clerks involved in the Nevada Municipal Clerks Association, but those in Southern Nevada, we worked together to come up with a process that when the Clark County Election Department purchased new equipment, we asked if they could be pre-programmed to allow voters in municipal elections to vote anywhere in the valley that conducted early voting, just like vote centers are conducted. So you can vote any place that has voting. And so just to give you an idea of how that worked this past primary election, voters outside of the city during our early voting period, this does not include mail ballot, 147 people voted outside of City Hall. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but it was 4.71% of our total turnout. And then you think when, Henderson and Vegas have an 8% turnout total, that's pretty significant. Most of those voters did go to the Galleria Mall. So 71 out of the 147 voted at the Galleria Mall. So I think that number will increase as people become more aware. Also, our office worked directly with the Secretary of State to amend AB 50 during this legislative session to exempt Boulder City. We saw the writing on the wall, knowing that there is a big push to move to even years. And so we were already in that process, and they were trying to change it, which would have disrupted our election, creating unequal terms for our council members. So I provided testimony for that bill, and I worked directly with Wayne Carlson at the Secretary of State's office, sent him our ordinance, all of the staff reports and minutes, so he could write an exemption because that bill was sponsored by the Secretary of State. It's not the most exciting topic, but one of the biggest responsibilities of the city clerk's office, of course, is records. And so a big project that was completed last year was we worked with the police department, and all of our permanent records used to be in microfilm. Well, it's becoming obsolete. We can't even maintain our microfilm machine anymore. So converting that microfilm is outrageously expensive. Most municipalities used to send it to the state, but when I checked into that, the cost was approximately $60,000, and that would have required us to ship our microfilm rolls up to the state, and I wasn't comfortable with that, so we obtained some quotes from private vendors, and it ended up that we contracted a company to come out and bring a huge machine that we put in a room that had limited access. Only our office staff and PD had access to that, and we converted all the rolls. So and that was at half of the cost. So it was about $28,000. In addition to the significant cost savings, it allowed us to retain custody and control of all our microfilm. But just to give you an idea of the scope of the project, our portion, the city clerk's portion of the microfilm conversion, was the digitalization of over 3.2 million images. So all of the microfilm's been converted, but now Tina is going in and editing it and making sure it's readable. And so all of the records, it's a very large process because whether the records were permanent or not, back in the day, they just microfilmed everything. So we've converted all those images, but now Tina has to go through and determine, are these even permanent records? Should I delete them? Do I need to enhance them? But to make them accessible and readable for the public. This is going to take years. But by converting these images, it allows for disaster recovery, searches, and destruction in the proper manner for any records that are past the retention period. Also, Carolyn is working on digitizing all of the agenda packets from the beginning of the city's history and all of the exhibits for the agenda